a game whispered in hushed tones, passed down through generations. A game shrouded in darkness, cloaked in mystery and fear. They called it El Juego de las Almas, the game of souls. It was more than just a game. It was a ritual, a test of courage and fate. It promised power, knowledge, a glimpse beyond the veil. The allure of forbidden secrets drew many to its dark embrace. But the price of such forbidden knowledge, your soul itself. The stakes were unimaginably high. Few dared to speak of it openly. The whispers were enough to send chills down one's spine. Those who had played, if they survived, never breathed a word. Their haunted eyes told stories of terror and regret. Legend said it began in a small village nestled high in the Andes, a place where ancient spirits lingered and the veil between worlds thinned. The villagers spoke of a time when the mountains echoed with the voices of the past, and the air was thick with the presence of the unseen. The game spread like wildfire, consuming the curious, the desperate, the foolish. It became a legend, a cautionary tale whispered in the shadows. In a bustling city far below the Andean peaks, life moved at a frenetic pace. The streets were alive with the hum of activity, neon lights flickering, and the distant sound of music echoing through the alleys. Amidst this urban chaos, three friends, Miguel, Esperanza, and Rafael, scoffed at the rumors that swirled around them. Tales of ancient curses and hidden treasures were nothing more than bedtime stories to them. They were students, driven by logic and reason, dismissive of superstition. Their nights were often spent in deep discussions, debating theories and solving complex problems, always grounded in reality. One evening, while wandering through the narrow lanes of the old quarter, Miguel, ever the skeptic, stumbled upon a weathered leather-bound book tucked away in a dusty antique shop. The shop was filled with relics of the past, each item whispering tales of bygone eras. Its pages were filled with cryptic symbols and chilling verses written in a language he couldn't decipher. The book seemed to pulse with an eerie energy, drawing him in despite his better judgment. Intrigued, Miguel shared his find with Esperanza and Rafael. They gathered around a dimly lit table, the book lying open before them, its pages casting long shadows on their faces. Esperanza, a budding historian, was drawn to the book's age and the mystery it held. She ran her fingers over the ancient parchment, feeling a connection to the past. Raphael, pragmatic and cautious, urged caution. He reminded them of the countless stories where curiosity led to peril, but his words fell on deaf ears. Despite Raphael's warnings, a seed of curiosity had been planted, taking root in their minds. The allure of the unknown was too strong to resist, and they found themselves drawn deeper into the mystery, each page of the book revealing more questions than answers. Driven by a thirst for the unknown, they gathered in Esperanza's dimly lit apartment, the ancient book lying open before them. The room was filled with an air of anticipation, a sense that something extraordinary was about to unfold. The book, bound in worn leather and etched with cryptic symbols, seemed to pulse with a life of its own. They had heard rumors about its power, whispers of its ability to connect the living with the realm of the spirits. Following its instructions, they spoke the words, an invocation whispered into the stillness of the night. Their voices trembled with a mix of fear and excitement, each syllable hanging in the air like a delicate thread. The atmosphere grew tense, as if the very walls were holding their breath, waiting for the inevitable. The air grew heavy, the room plunged into an unnatural chill. It was as if an invisible hand had turned the temperature down, sending shivers down their spines. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, making the room feel like a portal to another world. Suddenly, the book's pages began to glow, revealing a set of rules, each one more unsettling than the last. The text seemed to writhe and twist, as if alive, each word imbued with a dark energy. They leaned in closer, their eyes wide with a mix of dread and curiosity. The game demands a sacrifice. one rule proclaimed. The words seemed to echo in their minds, a chilling reminder of the stakes involved. They exchanged nervous glances, each wondering who or what would be required to pay the price. Another warned, "Once begun, the game cannot be abandoned." The finality of the statement sent a wave of fear through them, but it was too late to turn back now. They had already set the wheels in motion and the game had begun. Fear warred with their growing fascination. The allure of the unknown was too strong to resist, even as the danger became more apparent. They were drawn deeper into the mystery, unable to tear themselves away. They had opened a door, stepped across a threshold into a realm beyond their understanding. The boundaries between their world and the supernatural had blurred, leaving them in a place where the rules of reality no longer applied. There was no turning back. The path they had chosen was fraught with peril, but also with the promise of uncovering secrets long buried. They took a deep breath, steeling themselves for whatever lay ahead, knowing that their lives would never be the same. The first challenge appeared on the page, a dare whispered by unseen forces. It was a seemingly harmless task, leaving a single white rose at the foot of a statue in the city's oldest cemetery at the stroke of midnight. Their apprehension masked by bravado, they agreed. As midnight approached, they stood before the statue, a sense of unease settling over them. A sudden gust of wind howled through the cemetery, extinguishing their lantern and plunging them into darkness. Then, silence. They had met the first challenge, but the game had only just begun. The following days brought a series of increasingly disturbing tasks. Each challenge tested their limits, pushing them further down a path of fear and obsession. They heard whispers in the darkness, saw fleeting shadows that vanished when they turned their heads. The line between reality and the game blurred. Miguel became withdrawn, his eyes haunted by something unseen. Esperanza, once vibrant and full of life, grew pale and anxious. Only Rafael seemed untouched, his resolve strengthening with each passing challenge, or so it seemed. One night, Rafael confessed. He had been playing a different game all along, manipulating the challenges, trying to protect his friends from the true cost of their actions. He revealed a horrifying truth. The game fed on fear, on the darkness within their souls. He had tried to shield them from its full power, but he could protect them no longer. They had to finish the game, to confront the entity they had awakened, or risk becoming its prisoners forever. The final challenge awaited, a terrifying prospect that chilled them to their core. The final challenge demanded a sacrifice, the truest test of their loyalty and their sanity. They were to choose one among them to remain trapped within the game, their soul forfeit, their essence consumed by the darkness. The alternative was unthinkable: to unleash the entity upon the world, to condemn countless others to the same fate. Torn between horror and a desperate need to survive, they made their choice. With trembling hands and tear-filled eyes, they performed the ritual, their voices echoing through the night. A blinding light erupted, engulfing the room. Silence descended once more. When the light faded, only two figures remained. Miguel and Esperanza clung to each other, their faces etched with grief and relief in equal measure. Rafael was gone, his sacrifice buying their freedom, or so they believed. They soon discovered that the game's grip was not so easily broken. The whispers continued. The shadows lingered at the edges of their vision. Rafael's voice echoed in their nightmares, a constant reminder of the price they had paid, and the darkness that still clung to them. They were free from the game's clutches, but they were forever changed. Years passed, but the memory of that fateful summer haunted their every waking moment. They carried the scars, both visible and unseen, a constant reminder of the darkness they had glimpsed, and the friend they had lost. El Juego de las Almas, the whispered game, had claimed its due. The game continued, they knew, whispered in hushed tones in dark corners of the world. It lured the curious, the desperate, the foolish, promising power and knowledge at a terrible cost. And they could do nothing to stop it. For some games, once played, could never truly be over.